Thank you. Welcome everyone to the Curriculum Committee, and today's October 17th and it is now 6:05 p.m. So let's start off with the course guide.
Yep, so I'm actually, if it's okay with you, Rick, I actually want to flip-flop.
Recording in progress.
I got on.
Sounded Star Trek-y.
I got on so I could share my screen. If it's okay with you, I would like to look at the curriculum updates for FCS first, because I think showing those changes will help make sense of the changes in the course guide, if you're okay with that.
Excellent, thank you.
So I'm gonna try to share my screen to show this presentation. Patty, can you give me abilities? It's under security.
Wow.
Now I know that.
So the first curriculum update that we have tonight is to take a look at, not my Google Drive. The FCS curriculum. Last month I had told you that we were anticipating that FCS curriculum would be ready for review in October, and we were on track. We've met a few times since our last co-curricular meeting to just kind of fine tune some things, make sure things are exactly the way that we want them to be, to bring to you tonight. So we had a small team. Our family consumer science department is a team of 3. So they were all actively involved in this process. They were the ones who did the majority of the course writing. They went through some pretty serious professional development to learn how to write curriculum, best practices, the shifts that we want to see towards more student-centered learning and what that looks like in curriculum design. And then we spent a good deal of time writing the actual courses. So Michelle Hoy, Whitney Dufour, and Lindsay Socks were the key individuals that were working on this. So I think it's really important to note when you look at the draft of the curriculum that the FCS standards are actually a really great set of standards. Sometimes I think when we think of family consumer science, we think of maybe outdated or antiquated things, but they're really not. The standards are fantastic, and they are organized into these 4 main categories. The first one being financial and resource management, then food science and nutrition, child development, and then balancing family, work, and community responsibilities. So I think when we probably all went to school, we know that FCS is, cooking class or maybe sewing, but it's so much more than that. And the curriculum that we had in place before, there wasn't really anything that really wove those other 3 components in. It was mostly the food science piece, and there was very little of the other 3. So what we did was analyze the standards, made sure that we were purposeful about making sure that all 4 strands of those standards were evident in all of our courses. So with that, we really worked to bring these courses into this century and 2023 and thinking about what do kids want to take. We kept only really 2 of the courses that we've offered in the past, sports nutrition and child development. We're going to continue to offer those because they are, students really like those. They are highly sought after in the course request process. But then we looked to the other courses that we were offering and wanted to kind of change the direction of the courses based on integrating all 4 strands of those standards. So Exploring Your Future is a fantastic course that we developed to look at college and career readiness and help students make informed choices. How do you research schools? How do you research careers? How do you kind of look at what kind of salary you would have and what kind of life you would live on that salary? But also looking at the other leg of kind of what's it take to go to college? What are the financial implications? What do you need to do to prepare for that? What are some of the resources in our community that can help you with that? So that Exploring Your Future course is meant to be an elective for students who just want some guidance in thinking about both the financial impact, but also looking at those other sets of standards of financial and resource management, thinking about how those all are impacted by college and career decisions. The second one, the Adulting Academy, is one that we're really excited about because we decided to kind of take on, solve the problem, right? Of sometimes a lot of our students graduate and they feel like they're not necessarily prepared for adulthood in terms of financing and planning meals and kind of just balancing work and life and community responsibilities. So we designed an Adulting Academy for students to help prepare them for the strategies that they're going to need to be successful in adulthood. Then we got into some of the more food nutrition ones, the art and science of baking. This one is cross-curricular with some standards of chemistry too. It truly is the art and the science of baking, and doing some cross-curricular work there. Exploring the Kitchen and Cooking for Your World are two mostly food-based courses. The first one, in Exploring the Kitchen, is meant to be a very surface level kitchen exploration course. Our FCS teachers, and this kind of surprised me, said that there are a lot of students that they don't know how to use the microwave. They don't know how to do very basic things in the kitchen, because if they aren't taught at home, then they just don't know. So Exploring the Kitchen is really meant to be just very functional food preparation. Like, what things can you microwave? What kind of things can you put in a toaster? Very basic life skills, essentially. And then the Cooking for Your World is a little bit more complex. It's a deeper level, thinking about, if you have that, it's that nutrition piece of, if you have diabetes, what special considerations you need to take into account in your diet and your lifestyle. Thinking about your world as an individual and how cooking and nutrition and food feeds into that world. And then the last two I covered are staying pretty status quo. So attached in the board docs are the unit maps for all of those courses that are linked there. So you can start to see and look over all the units that have been developed for all those courses. We also developed an FCS 1 and 2 for the middle school. So students can potentially take 2 years of FCS at the middle school level, and those courses are designed and attached to tonight's documents as well. So we wanted to share the draft of those courses with you because those course names are reflected in the course guide, highlighted in the course guide document as changes for next year.
They do food safety, E. coli, all those.
They
kinds of
do
things.
that actually at the beginning of every food-based
Okay.
course. It's their unit 1 within food safety, is unit 1 in pretty much every course, just as either beginning information or as a reminder if students have taken multiple courses. Yes, it's a great question. Any
Interesting.
questions about FCS?
Do they do any? I heard you talk about chemistry and cross-curricular. Is there anything like with social studies? Because I'm thinking like foods around the world or other cultures.
Yeah, the food, the Cooking in Your World course is going to have, I believe there's a whole separate unit, or there's a component of, the different cultural aspects of food as well. Yeah, so
Interesting.
yeah, there's a lot of opportunities. I think there's a lot of opportunities for students to take courses that might be of interest to them. Hi, Elizabeth. But also be relevant to them in 2023 and beyond. So we really tried to bridge the gap of where we were with FCS course offerings, mostly being the cooking facet, and really try to bring those other strands of the standards into play so that students were getting the best opportunities. And
Thank
I
you.
don't think you can see Elizabeth because I was sharing.
Yes, you have a
I saw her
question,
on my
Elizabeth?
screen, but
May I ask a question?
yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
Thank you. Is there any time during their education where they touch base on where your food comes from and options as far as corporate farms, organic farms, local?
Yeah, I believe it's FCS 1 and FCS 2 both kind of talk about in terms of food, where food comes from. Also in our 5th and 6th grade social studies courses, they each have a food unit. And it sounds kind of strange that social studies would have a food unit, but it's really related to economy, geography, and thinking about why we get certain food from certain places and why we can't, grow certain things here, but, why can't we grow oranges in central Pennsylvania, right? That all has, that geography element to it. And then it also has the economic ties. So we do have it in social studies, but it is also addressed in the foods courses as well, for the foods units within the FCS courses.
Thank you. Any additional questions or concerns? Well, thank you for that update.
Yep.
Do you want to go back to the course guide?
Yep. So those FCS changes are reflected in the course guide. The only other things that are changed in the course guide, you'll see them highlighted. We are actively working on science curriculum right now, and we are hoping to implement new science curriculum next year. And we're hoping to bring that to you in probably March or April. We have a need right now with the new Pennsylvania state standards that have been implemented or that have been rolled out for science. We realize that we have some standard gaps. Like, for example, our 9th grade course option right now is for students to take what we call Bio Plus, which is like an introduction to biology. But when we do that, our students are missing a whole group of earth science standards, and we don't want that to happen. So we are kind of changing the 9th grade's course for science to be a little bit of earth science, a little bit of geology, a little bit of biology. It's a little bit of an overview of a lot of the scientific concepts in 9th grade before they go down that biology, chemistry, physics track. So it's meant to be more of an overview course. We felt that was the best approach, just to make sure that within the 9 to 12 grade band that we ensure that students hit all the standards that the state has laid out.
So every 9th grader would take the earth space science.
Yeah, we're calling it survivor science because it's all really about Earth in general. So they would have a regular or an honors option of that course. And then they can go into biology, AP biology, and all the subsequent courses after that. But the science department felt like it would be a really good shift because right now our students have some holes and some gaps based on the fact that they're not getting exposure to all the standards, which was a concern to us. So we would like to remedy that by sort of shifting our approach to the 9th grade science course offering. We would also like to add a science elective that's all about forensics. Forensic science is definitely, a popular career path. It also allows for some really engaging science content to be taught in a hands-on, inquiry-based approach. And the science department definitely felt like having a course like this would give students more choice and hopefully would provide them with some course options that would be really exciting to them and would help get them more engaged in their journey. So those are the 2 changes in science that we reflected in the course guide along with the FCS changes.
Excellent. And so otherwise they're staying, everything else is.
Yep. Otherwise, everything else is status quo. There were a few just typo things that we cleaned up, but that's the only real change in the content of the course guide.
Any questions?
If I could just make a comment, I had to get off the phone because Cam called me back about that bus thing, Dave. first I wanted to say, Megan, thank you so much for mentioning the fact that the FCS standards are really cool and amazing. And they are, when you read them, you really do want your child to have those courses. And I also agree that when you and I first started working with that FCS department, they had absolutely no idea what it meant to use a backward design process towards standards. They were teaching around topics such as eggs. And like, it's really come a super long way from where they were. And I missed the other part of what you said, but I got on the tail end. Survivor science is really a great way to engage kids into the earth sciences and how they survive on this world, or how do they use science to survive on this world. And I think that could be a really cool theme running through a content storyline. And then finally, because science is up, and I was wondering if Dr. Scholes could connect with you and with Megan and Kurt at least, and maybe some of the science teachers or health doc teacher. There's an anatomage table down at the university. Kurt, I mentioned it to you a couple of years ago, and they're expensive, but I really think we should go down and look at the table at the university. If Rick can hook us up with that and get a demo, and see if it might be worth the money, because it's really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be great. And there's definitely, I think, some grant opportunities out there too for things like that. So
They've dropped in price.
yeah,
I went to 2 schools in Montreal. Both places I went to had stuff in the closet, weren't even using it. And they paid $100,000 for it.
It's crazy. The other exciting thing coming in science is that the College Board is about to roll out an AP anatomy and physiology course. So I think that could be a great tie to what you're saying, Jackie. And also the forensics course could definitely use something like that as well to dive into that content. So.
And I'm going to lose signal shortly, so I'm going to be logging off. But there was one more really fun tidbit from the conference I talked to Rick about at breakfast, and that is an e-gaming curriculum, whether it's clubs, courses, but there's also Harrisburg University has dual enrollment for e-gaming. And so I got some information on that. I feel like it's something that we don't have and we may want to explore. So I'm going to share that information with you when I see you tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Drive safe. Stop
Dr. Martin.
multitasking.
Yes.
You know,
I'm sure she is, and probably also eating a snack and also drinking a soda and also.
She's probably also texting somebody else back.
But she's not the driver's ed teacher.
That's right. Zoom.
Any other questions from anybody else? Elizabeth, you have any questions or comments about that?
No, it's very exciting. It's very exciting.
Very good, very good. I was glancing through the master course catalog, and one of the speakers at our conference today was Terry Madonna, who is a professor of some institute at Millersville, and he's a political historian, and he was commenting that we're not doing enough on civics, and we're doing a disservice to students. But I saw you have a number of courses related to.
And actually, when we did this was probably before you were on the board, Rick. When we did social studies curriculum 3 years ago, Elizabeth, you might remember this. We talked a lot about civics. We talked about it being a required, making sure it was a required course, but we also made sure that at every grade level in the social studies curriculum, there's a civics unit.
Oh,
at every single grade level, K-12 in the social studies curriculum,
now,
a citizenship and civics unit.
I haven't spoken to you or to Dr. Martin about this, but Maria Bailu at the county, she runs that voter registration office. They developed, or I think it's actually from the federal government, developed this on kind of a generic curriculum presentation for school districts for children on what it means to vote and, you know, what does it mean to vote for president versus local? And it's a nonpartisan. I mean, that might be something we explore
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
future, to educate students how to register to vote,
Mhm.
when you register to vote, what it means to be a good citizen, you know, all those kinds of
Yeah.
things. So,
Great. Thanks for
but
sharing.
we can talk about that. Get it on the agenda. Okay, CTC update.
Okay, let's start with Health Op. Patient care technician program is now,
Oh.
full force.
She probably can't hear you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yep, the
Beautiful.
patient care technician program is, students are now enrolled. And along with that, my teacher will be trained in 2 other certs, EKG and phlebotomy, that we can actually test and give a certification. The patient care technician is end of the year program. It's a national test. I'm looking at, I may have to give it, join with Commonwealth somehow to give it in your secure, in that area of your testing lab. That may be something I have to do to get that test through. It is approximately $300 a student, but I have it built into the federal grant that I wrote a year ago. It's built into the curriculum. It was a I think it's almost $60,000 grant to get everything rolling. So that is now fully implemented. And I look at down the road how I'm going to pay for that testing, and I'm looking at probably some other federal avenues to pay. And I'm also going to look into trying to join into some kind of apprenticeship or pre-apprenticeship, maybe with Geisinger UPMC for that particular course, and see if we can send kids there and then they offset the cost. That's been pretty common. So we'll try to make a deal. It's like, let's, strike a deal. So we'll work on that down the road.
We'll start calling you Monty Hall. Oh, well, some of you won't even remember mine.
Yeah.
That's far, probably before your time.
Ag mechanics. We were just approved 2 weeks ago for the industrial manufacturing technician pre-apprenticeship. And included in this is the certificate. I just received it in the mail, but I had a picture put into our agenda. That is a partnership with PMF Industries in Williamsport. And now we're looking to partner with First Quality West Company and some others for that pre-apprenticeship. That's basically your mechanic on the floor, fixing all the robots and the machinery.
So mine's coming up blank. Oh, no, it came up.
Did it come up?
It just took a while.
Yeah. Tomorrow, PMF comes in and they're going to go in ag mechanics and do a whole introductory on pre-apprenticeship in that force and registered apprenticeship. Students will get 136 hours in our program, which will knock off 1 year of the program. It's a 2-year program to be fully registered apprenticeship. So they'll do a year here. We apply for a L&I certificate for the students. They take that and they can go out into industry, and anybody who has a registered apprenticeship, they can join with that, and they only have to do 1 year of on the job training. So we cut a year off here in their 11th and 12th grade year.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Culinary arts, I'm going to sit in on a ProStart. ProStart is the big restaurant, hospitality restaurant association. They're looking at starting some pre-apprenticeships on the 19th. I'm going to sit on a 2-hour webinar about starting in culinary. I've already reached out to some schools, other schools like us here in the area, to try to join a consortium, because it's a little easier in a rural area when for the restaurant association, because we don't have a lot of state college, things like that have, bigger hospitality type things. So I'll have to join some kind of consortium. But today I had discussion with 2 other schools, and we're all going to go do a webinar for that and see what's involved in a pre-apprenticeship there and how ProStart is attracting secondary students. And then Health Ox again, we have 6 students in the emergency medical technician program at Lock Haven EMS. They did a summer ride along. Now they're about halfway through their semester. December, they should graduate. I want to do a visit there either Thursday or Tuesday or Thursday of next week. They go Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, and all day Saturday. And there's 6 students that are fully paid for, enrolled through Lock Haven EMS. They should be EMTs by December. And they're all Health Ox students.
That's phenomenal.
So that's another avenue. Also, you know, when we're talking about Health Ox, we also have students working at, it's gonna slip my name, next to the hospital, not Susqueview. On the other side, there's a long-term care. I think it might be owned by UPMC yet. Haven. Boy, the brain isn't working. Yeah.
Haven Place.
Haven Place. And we have CNAs that trained over the summer. We have girls working there, 3 young ladies working there now that are full CNAs. And they leave school and go to work. So that's another avenue in Health Ox. So Health Ox is pretty active. EMT, CNA, and PCT, all those acronyms are coming at you. So get to know them because we have kids everywhere in that program.
What is ACT again?
But what's that? PCT is patient care technician.
Oh,
then
okay,
the-
I was thinking something else.
And then we have the
Community college
EMT,
technology.
the EMT course, and then we have the CNA, Certified Nurse Assistant.
Very good.
So we've joined with other people to get students what they need. And then they come in and interview and they take the students out, and the students are now leaving and going to work. So we have multiple Health Ox students that leave us every day and go to these different jobs, which a lot of them already have a certification and a certificate in their pocket. So they're well off, they're doing well.
That's excellent.
Kurt, you're very humble, but I would like you to kind of explain to everybody how rare and it is to have 2 pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship programs, because no, people don't have that. It's just, we're really paving the way there. And I know you talk about it like it's just everyday business, but it's really impressive. And I just wanted the board to know how rare it is to be able to have a director that knows how to navigate those avenues and to get those opportunities.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an oddity. It's really an oddity. And I think, you know, being here, I fell in a good place with some good people, and I've been able to navigate the waters, and the workforce here has been very receptive to ideas and trying different things with us. And we've been able to really get through some things and put all this together. And our programs, the program is there, but within the program, there's so much more going on that kids can get that they can't get other places. So I really feel you're way ahead of the game. We've moved drastically uphill. Like we've pushed really hard and we've gotten there. And now we just got to keep pushing.
The parents must be overjoyed. with
Well,
it.
and that's another thing. I must do a better job at putting out some flyers and things. I should really meet with like Reese's and stuff and get some things made so we can get them out in the public.
Yeah.
Because I just don't push it. They
Oh,
don't hear it
we
enough. I
have to-
talk it and
we
say
need
it,
to
but
do some community, something that gets the more awareness
Yeah.
in the whole region
yep,
as to making this a showcase, which it already is, but I mean, I don't think the community
yeah,
fully understands it's just
a big
how
thing.
comprehensive
yeah.
this work
definitely.
is, so.
And then construction trades, they're in their first full year of PA Builders Association program. So if they go through our final testing down to NOCD and they're advanced, they get another certificate on top for the state. And then that goes in, they actually get a registry, and contractors can pull, that's a nationwide registry, and they can pull those kids for their individual achievements
That's
from
wonderful.
that. So there are the things we're working on. Also, tomorrow night, we start a program in lathe operations and milling through Commonwealth University. We've joined partners with them for their adult ed. We're starting six people coming from industry to start into that program. And then the following week, we start individualized training for first quality in machining for four individuals, and it's specific. We wrote the curriculum just for them, and it's their people that are attending it, and first quality they pay that fee.
And they're for adult learners.
Yeah, they're their head maintenance people, and they want to increase their machine shop, and they need some training. So we wrote a curriculum just for them. Now, the next curriculum you'll see is probably welding. we're starting on a welding curriculum to train first quality employees also.
Fantastic.
That's about all I got.
That's all. Okay. Elizabeth, you raised your hand earlier. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Rich. I know we talk about this all the time but we do such a bad job at getting this information out to the public. And Dr. Martin does a really good job, like when she gives her updates and things like that. But I'm talking about a much more comprehensive story. Like you were talking about, I don't know, those EMT students that were shadowing. We don't see any reflection papers, photographs. I mean, I know you know what I'm trying to say, but we do such a bad job of it. And maybe at some point, Dr. Martin, Kurt, Megan will, get a game plan together to say, like, this day of every month, this is going to go out to the public. And I'm not just saying a little story, but I mean something like, wow, a soups to nuts story. Because if someone asked me right now, and I'm a board member 6 years, they said, well, Elizabeth, what do they have at CTC? And I'd be like, well, they have this. And and it's embarrassing. It's absolutely unexcusable that I can't sit and discuss, there's some good generalities, but I think if we have it more out there continually, because we all know that the CTC program is one of our district's greatest strengths. We all know that. But football and everything else is important, but it seems like I think CTC should get more coverage, or at least equal to athletics. So thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes, we'll work on something, trying to get.
Yeah, we do. Like we did an article on the EMT ride-alongs, but you see it in the paper and then the next day you're on to something else,
Exactly. Yeah.
But I'm gonna go down and meet with those students because they're halfway through. And we're gonna do another article with Lock Haven EMS on how they're doing, because it's Harrisburg University actually teaches that course. You have to be certified, and they're up here teaching it to these students. So yeah, we're looking quick. We'll get another article out here.
It'd be
It
cool
would be
to-
nice if those students gave a presentation too.
Yeah.
they
Because
could,
that
yeah.
would focus and, get a
Yeah.
photo maybe with
Yeah.
that night, that kind of thing.
I was gonna say too, I think it'd be cool to maybe capitalize on like our students in our media classes and like have them do like 1-minute YouTube
I never
clips or
thought about
Or
something.
that.
TikTok or
like,
something.
Just
or-
because
yeah.
like, the younger generation likes
Yeah.
information in short,
Instagram.
quick bursts via video rather than newspaper articles.
Yeah.
So like, having the media students maybe do some PR could be great too.
It's a good idea.
Mhm. That's a very good idea. I like that. Anything else, Kurt?
That's it.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's always nice to have such good news. And Elizabeth, if you didn't see, and Dr. Martin, Roger came in because he came directly from.
I just got back from the conference. Ugh.
Your pockets look a little lighter. Why is that? Don't answer. I'm glad
You
you
got
made it
rid
back
of some
safe.
business cards. That's the answer.
I got a bunch of business cards right here. A bunch of business cards.
Oh,
It was a great conference. We had a good time, but I'll sign up.
well, he didn't bring us any candy apples though from that bake shop down.
Oh my gosh.
Caramel apples and.
Mm.
Worse.
Do you have one in your pocket? Because
You
that would
have
be
a
weird.
Candy apple in your pocket? I didn't quite expect that.
I got candy. We can share junior mints.
Oh,
It's not candy
no.
apples.
You know,
You have to be watching a movie in a movie theater for that.
Yeah.
no, that's pure sugar, and I can use this right now.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
this isn't enough? Whatever you got.
Caffeine,
He
caffeine
came
and sugar.
loaded. Loaded with sugar. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, folks. I didn't mean anybody listening. I didn't mean it
Oh,
Okay.
man.
Rick.
that way. Yes, we're on recording. Athletics update?
Jim, you want to go first? All right, yeah, I'll go first. It's tough to follow
Thank
Kurt
you.
though. Bucktail's having an outstanding fall as far as their athletic season goes.
Varsity football is currently 5-3. We have some standout athletes. Brody Pence has already rushed for 1,000 yards, and he's a junior. He looks to rush for quite a few more in the next couple of weeks. We have a senior, Braylon Fantasky, who has 1,000 career rushing and receiving yards, which is pretty cool. Doesn't happen all the time. They will be in the playoffs this season. We don't know who our opponent is yet, but it's the first time we've gone in a while, so big deal for Bucktail. Our junior high football squad is currently undefeated. They're 5-0. We have one more game at home. It's this Thursday. What else do we have? Junior high softball ended up 6-5. We played with 9 players, which if anyone follows softball, that is the amount you need to have a team. So
Wow.
we survived the
That's
season
impressive.
and we had a winning record. So I mean,
Wow.
kudos
Congrats.
to Coach Foreman and all the girls in that team. Tennis had another great year. I don't know if anyone follows girls tennis at Bucktail, but they consistently are successful. They had a record of 14-2. Coaches Dan and Allison Heiser recorded their 200th career win.
Awesome.
And we have a bunch of students going to the doubles tournament, and we also went to the district tournament, but unfortunately lost to Central Columbia. And finally, the drum line. They went to all of our games this season. There are more than 4 people, Megan.
There were 8. Yeah.
I know, I'm just messing. They went through all the games this season. That's a change from last year, so they're increasing their presence within the community. They also went to a few parades. We went to the KCSD LHU homecoming, Flaming Foliage Parade, and additionally they attended there's a Bucktail homecoming parade too the day prior to our homecoming game. So they're keeping really busy. It's been
And they're coming to Castania's.
they
Halloween
are, yeah. I
parade.
almost forgot about
Yes.
that. They'll be at the Castania one as well. I'm sure they're excited.
Our township supervisors approved. We'll pay for the transportation.
Mr. Kaler will be pumped to hear that.
I have a question for
Yes.
you. Okay, that drum line. Have they ever considered doing indoor?
You mean like at basketball events and stuff?
No,
Or just in
I'm
general?
talking about doing indoor, like indoor guard and indoor majorettes.
I don't know that Mr. Cayley has. I know his current goal is to expand beyond the drum line and become like a full-on marching band again
Right.
eventually.
But with him having a percussion section, as good as it is, that might be something because that is an actual event. Okay,
It's
just
competitive.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a competitive.
Mhm.
No, I don't know if he's ever thought about that. I
That
could
might
discuss
be
with
something
him.
to look at.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
that'd be awesome.
I
You
know.
know?
I know the students would love that. They're just
Mhm.
being
I
honest
mean,
with you. They would
just-
if they had the opportunity.
Oh, they would have a ball doing that. So not that I know.
Just
out
the
of
students in
curiosity.
our band are extremely passionate about what they do. So I know
Right.
if they had that opportunity, they would go for it.
Just out of curiosity, the young football player who's a junior,
Yes.
the 1,000,
Rushing yards this season.
is he looking at colleges or trying to use that
I
as
do not
a?
know, but I would imagine that should he continue on this path, there should be some opportunities the following season.
Okay,
That would be great.
very good. Good news.
Yeah, no, it's been a really productive season for Bucktail. We've been
That's
fortunate.
awesome. Thank you.
So from the Central Mountain side of things, we also had a very successful fall season. I kind of outlined some of the things that have gone on for us this fall. And so Central Mountain High School golf team, they earned a co-championship, sharing that title with Jersey Shore here. They did a 6-1 record in the Pennsylvania Heartland Athletic Conference divisional play. So they again will be co-champions. They did have a district qualifier in Gardner Fravel who qualified for District 6 play. And then also on the female side of things, Reese Walliser also qualified for district play. She took 3rd at the district competition. Unfortunately, they only take the top 2 place winners, and so she did not move on to the state tournament, but she was certainly right there in the competition. From the tennis side of things for us, we've also had a very successful tennis season. To the point where we did have a District 6 singles tennis champion in Addison Lindsay. And so Addison is a freshman. And so she won District 6 as the singles champion, and she was sets were 6-0, 6-1. And she now moves on to the state tournament, which will be upcoming on November 3rd and 4th. Fortunately, that occurs indoors and not outdoors for the tennis season. And so we'll certainly be going to root her on. She's making all the preparations and continue to practice here as that will be coming up for her in a few weeks. And other opportunities for us, I linked in some of the articles, and so I did share the document with all of you that are here. But Central Mountain Bucktail marching bands bring home first and second place in the fall Flaming Foliage Parade. And so thought that was a very cool opportunity to recognize both bands. I know they marched in the parade, you know, and proximity to each other, and there's been a lot of collaboration between the directors of both bands. And I think that's just a really important piece as both schools are trying to build their bands and grow them. And so I felt like that was something that we definitely wanted to recognize. Our Central Mountain majorettes and alumni, they took first at the Twirling Unlimited Baton Twirling Competition, which was held here at Central Mountain High School recently. The group placed first in the beginner large senior dance twirl category, which was a lot to say, but I do know that I came in and helped prepare for that. It seemed to be a very well attended and productive event, and I got a lot of positive feedback from those that were here. And so I think it's really important that we give every opportunity to recognize our band and our majorettes along with our athletes. And so seeing that they're both being successful out in the community is something that we really want to make sure we're recognizing as well. Other events that have gone on throughout the fall, the KCSD LHU Homecoming Parade. It was my first opportunity from an athletic side of things to kind of be involved with it and see the planning and preparations. But for anybody that attended out in the community, it was certainly well attended. Lots of, Patty, you could say probably, I think we had over 30 some floats or different entries into it. So I thought that was super. We then followed that up with our pep assembly kind of thing at the old Lock Haven High School, now owned by LHU. And so that was another cool event that we had participated in. Recently, the Keystone Central Foundation also held Heritage Homecoming one of the past Fridays on October 6th. And so we had the opportunity to plan and work with them and kind of come back and as well, the majorettes performed at halftime during that event. It was a rainy day, but they still got out there and did their thing. And so it was very cool to see. Other things that I think that is just important to recognize from our student athletes and our coaches. I've seen a lot of improvement in the opportunities to hold special events and recognize different causes that are certainly things within our community that are valued. And so we've held military appreciation nights at multiple different sporting events, teacher appreciation nights where the students are identifying teachers and whether they give them their jersey or write them a letter, but they've invited them to attend the events. And we let them in free for those and recognize them at the events, as well as all of our teams have senior nights. And we've recently had a lot of teams recognizing and holding pink outs for cancer awareness. So just some of the things that are going on here this fall. I know upcoming soon, we had 2 new Hall of Fame inductions. Heidi Shoemaker was inducted for softball, and tomorrow evening, the 2003 Lady Wildcat soccer team will be recognized at the last home game of the season as a Hall of Fame induction as a team. And so certainly,
Really?
yeah, the whole team. And so
That's
we have
cool.
alumni coming that are coming in to be recognized at that event. We'll present them with the plaque that they've earned, and then we'll also display one here within the building. So one of the first entire teams that, to my knowledge, that's been recognized as from a Hall of Fame perspective. So very
Wow.
cool.
That's great.
That's all I got.
Thank you. Any major issues or needs that you see for athletics from the board?
So
I mean, other than
yeah.
just
Sure.
everybody wants money.
Yeah, I get you there. I guess for me, in my first fall season here, transitioned into a new role, there's been a learning curve. And so I've tried to spend a lot of time just observing and learning and kind of assessing things, trying not to make too many changes, but trying to better understand the process before making decisions on what our needs are. I certainly have
Very
been
cool.
in communication with Rob Pasella over different facilities and where they fall on our 10-year plan and looking at some of those things. And I think again, that's an important process and not something obviously that any of us rush into decisions, but
Mhm.
I want to be able to come back and provide good information to everyone. And based on what I see, the conversations I'm having, and again, being able to kind of assess, where certain projects are as far as the wear and tear on different facilities and things that we're seeing right now. So Rob's been great, in those conversations. He has a lot of knowledge and experience that I don't in some of those areas. So I certainly try to lean on him in those conversations.
Out of curiosity, what percentage of Central Mountain High School students are in a organized sport, like in general?
Yeah. So I don't know that I can give you an exact percentage. I do know that this year, as far as participation in our sports, has been one of our best seasons. For an example, our football team had over 50 players this year. And so we have 25 seniors that will be recognized at senior night on this coming Friday. Actually, we'll recognize the band, we'll recognize our cheerleaders, our football players, and the managers on the team, to a total of 38 seniors involved with those programs. And so I think that's really been remarkable. I also think it's really important when you look at the number of individuals participating within the band. We increased the size of our band to the point where we were around 30 members, cheerleading squad that had over 20 members. And so between the band and everything, we ended up having to need an additional bus because we couldn't fit all the band equipment, the cheerleaders, and the band all on one bus. But I think that's a real positive when you see that kind of turnout and participation. The program's growing and the students being willing to be, part of the season. I think those have been really successful pieces for us. I certainly can get you a better number on the percentage, Rick, down the road. But I also think an important piece for us is we've really worked to establish our clubs. So clubs are meeting during the school days as well. We have them planned every other week within our schedule right now. And we're starting to see a lot of those clubs get up and function, as well as the opportunity to collaborate with various different senior projects. I know this past weekend we had another senior project held. I know you were mentioning the paint the parking lot opportunity that's coming up, and some of the seniors that are involved in that process. And so some of them actually did paint the other day. They came in on Monday when the students were off school, and a few of them started the process. But I think we're looking for more and more opportunities, to work with students and to create some of those opportunities that are kind of unique and different.
Another question, this just is my own curiosity. In comparison to other schools of this size in the Heartland Conference, and maybe you don't even have an idea, do we spend about the same amount of money on athletics? Do some schools like really devote it?
Yeah, I would say
More?
to you,
Do you
being,
have any idea where we are on the?
I don't really, but I would give you some perspective from my end of it as one of the larger schools in the Heartland. I know we offer more sports and opportunities because we have a larger population student body. And so some of the schools, they may not offer a golf opportunity or a cross country opportunity, some of the things that we've had. One of the things I've also noticed throughout this fall season is certain sports you can see that other schools are declining. And so we've lost some JV opportunities in football, soccer, both boys and girls soccer, because other schools can't field the teams to be able to play us. And so one of the things that we have done in working with the coaches, it was reach out to some of the other schools. And so for instance, we were able to get an extra JV football game in place of a game with Troy, and Troy traveled to us. And so again, just trying to network a little bit, but I think from a dollars figure, we probably are a little higher, but we are, again, one of, if not the biggest school in the PHAC.
If you looked outside Heartland, but just in the general region, do you think we're probably, it's pretty equitable?
I would say we're probably
You're
very
assuming
comparable.
that, or-
Yeah. Obviously there are some larger schools that are nearby us that maybe have different means, such as State College. But I think comparable to Williamsport, comparable to Du Bois, definitely some of the other Hollidaysburg, the 5A type 6A schools. So I definitely, again, would not mind reaching out and gathering information. But in these first few months, I've just been kind of trying to get my feet on the ground and learn.
Someday.
Yeah.
We'll
And
look at that.
again,
I
if
just
those are
want
things,
our school to be
sure.
equitable and
Absolutely.
devoted to athletics.
One thing I have
band,
learned
cheer,
is
all
the
that.
communication throughout District 6 as well as in the PHAC. A lot of times ADs are sending out information and say, how do you handle this situation? Or what are your current numbers for your pay scale, things like that. So I definitely think it's conversation that is occurring. And I would have no difficulty getting some of that information.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns?
Right.
Oh, go ahead, Elizabeth.
Sure, Elizabeth. Oh, that was such a lovely, both your reports. That's wonderful. And next year, Stephen, was starting it like 2 years ago, trying to get an umpire camp here, or at least send someplace to have an umpire camp. I'm talking next year. So don't even worry about it right now. Okay.
I
But-
appreciate your patience.
Yeah. So thank you very much. That was great reports.
Yeah. Elizabeth, I will say to you that obviously officials is something that has gone on for us a little bit. We have experienced in certain sports a difficulty to find. And so I know there's a lot of recruiting within the different organizations. There are programs established. And so I think anything we can do to help build, one of the things that I would say as far as the actual groups that come, most of ours are coming from outside this area. They're coming from Williamsport. They're coming from the Northern Tier. They're coming from State College or Huntington. And so trying to build a network within our local community would definitely be to our advantage.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns? Motion to adjourn?
Yeah. Might have got here
Second.
late, but I'm all for.
Okay,
yeah.
we're adjourned, folks. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Dr. Moore.